Hey, man, welcome to Behind the Curtain. It's our pre-show show on Dukes and Bell. I'm Mike Bell. My partner Carl Duke's going to join in just a second. He just got the dogs back from the vet. It's Orrin who pushes the buttons and the brains of the operation. Day up there as well. We tell you what's going down with the show. Today, it's a Friday, so we're going to talk to Bryant McFadden, our weekly visit with a two-time Super Bowl winner. And we'll talk about the NFL and, of course, his take on the Falcons in Carolina. Plus, Steve Koonin, Hawks CEO, about the red-hot Atlanta Hawks who are killing it, man. West Coast swing. Now making it 4 in a row, 3 games in a row on this road trip. And a great night for Jalen Johnson, who had a triple-double, plus throw in a ton of boards, assists. I mean, he's doing everything last night, guys. And we'll start right there. We'll get to the Falcons because there is something we want to get into today, both on the air and on the pre-show. And that is a question that Allison Mastrangelo from Channel 2 asked Michael Penix Jr. that he answered that has gotten twisted and turned, and it makes a really bad football team and the Falcons look really worse. But it's not true, and it's not accurate, and it's totally out of context. And as Data and I were just talking about, Orrin, it's everything that's wrong with social media in 2025. But all that coming up. Start off, though, what do you guys think, man? Hawks, I know the argument, I had a guy come at me today on Twitter going, see, that's the thing. Trey will be like the black hole sucking the ball up in the half court. They function. That dreaded Trey, not Trey, to Trey or not to Trey argument was cropping up. Yes, if you can find the balance of what we look like right now in the half court and transition when Trey gets back, that's a hell of a basketball team, isn't it?
Much so, man. And look, and like we said yesterday, you got to have Trey on this team. There's no doubt about it, especially once you get into the thick of things when you're talking about, clutch games where, you need him to kind of come in and take over. The biggest thing about what we're seeing right now is that Trey can come back and continue to be a facilitator. He doesn't have to come in and feel like he's got to be the one to drop all the buckets because the other guys are showing that they can get it done. I mean, Onyeka was killing it from the corner last night, man. I mean, so people got to get off of that. This team is not better in terms of playing without Trey, especially once you start talking about trying to be a contender in the Eastern Conference and making a serious and deep playoff run.
We saw last night what we can get from Jalen for an entire season if he stays healthy.
Right.
He put up numbers last night that had never been put up in an NBA game before, ever. Yep. Ever. Night before, he put up numbers that hadn't been put up for the last, I think, 24 or 25 years in the NBA. So it just gives you a tease of what this team can be when you add Trey back into the mix. We made a point to talk about earlier in the year. You can get that outside shot going. Last night, 8 threes.
Right.
You saw what you can get in a playmaking aspect from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And then Jalen, too. Jalen is being just more than a scorer right now and defender. With the triple-double last night, and then the night before, I think he had 8 assists last night, or the night before, too. So
we talked about that yesterday, yeah.
Facilitating everywhere, being able to do so much. So when Quinn took this job, one of the reasons why he took this job was the potential of Jalen Johnson. And what he saw Jalen could be as sort of the future of the NBA, that big 6'8", 6'9" wing that can do everything, can handle, can facilitate, can shoot, can defend. And we saw last night that more than anything right now, Jalen is on a rocket ship to an extent. And as long as those ankles are able to stay healthy, this guy looking at all-star potential, all NBA potential, a 20, 10 and 8 guy, or a 28 and whatever you want to call it, 28 and 5 guy all season long. And just last night it was great seeing that from him because it just shows you what the future, if he stays healthy, can hold for him.
And Carl, just saying, man, with Jalen Johnson, that he's an all-star. Again, we've said this last year. If he stays healthy last year, he could be an all-star. His dynamic game and just making some big numbers last night. Outstanding start. Carl Dukes, ladies and gentlemen, jumps in. How the puppies?
They're good, man. I have to get them, these sets of shots. They've not been boarded. For those of you guys who board your dogs. And so
kennel cough.
Yeah, we got to do all that just in case. So I think we got the last set of shots today before we get into the holidays in December, but needed to happen. Look, as far as Jalen, man, I will say this. This is what I keep saying about this core. Risha Shea, Jalen, Dyson. Whether Trey is here or not, and I know people don't want to hear this because I do think with Mike, we're better with Trey.
Right.
But if you said to me, we're going to bring in an average point guard who can run the offense and get everybody, where they need to be. and he's not necessarily going to be an all-star, but you have those three guys to build around, Mike, you still got a really good team. And if this general manager can supplement the pieces as he has this summer around that core group, you're going to be fine. The real question is, and we won't know this until later in the season, when Trey comes back, does he diminish and take away from Jalen Johnson's development, or does he enhance it? Does Jalen then, does he maintain this when Trey's on the floor and Trey doesn't have to do as much and he's okay with that? That's what I really want to find out.
Right. And that's where it's at. That's the question everybody has, is when you get Trey back on the floor, how does Quinn Snyder get all these pieces working so you have the same kind of things we just saw the last 3 days between the Clippers, the Jazz, what you saw at home against the Lakers? I mean, it's a fun basketball team. It's another thing. It's fun to watch. Then you throw in what Trey brings, and that's what we thought we were getting. Transition, good defense, three-point shooting. Yep. So hopefully that's the total package. Other story today we'll be talking about, guys, before we get to the Falcons, and this misconception about what Michael Penix Jr. meant and what he did or didn't say at the press conference. Congratulations to Ronald Acuna, or as Carl would say,
Acuna for life.
Thank you. As he makes the comeback player of the year in the National League, returning from the torn ACL, missing basically the entire 24 season, and comes back. And if not for that one little dip, Carl, he would have finished over 300 on the season. But 21 home runs, 42 RBIs in 95 games.
He's a star, man. He's a superstar. He doesn't get superstar treatment because he doesn't get marketed like that. And Mike and I have discussed this. Shohei Ohtani doesn't speak English. He has a translator too, but he gets marketed, right? He's in LA. I don't know if the English thing plays or if it doesn't. Would it enhance his image? Maybe with some American baseball fans, maybe not. Shohei is global, but he gets that kind of publicity. And I just feel like if Ronald got, the kind of marketing, he would be on a level. I'm not saying he's Shohei. Right. Shohei's a different, but he'd be on another level as far as recognition and people around the league. Guys, he won an MVP, had an unbelievable season, and it's almost like it's been forgotten. 70 stolen bases? Yeah. It's almost, am I wrong, Day? It's almost like, yeah.
Because Shohei the next year was 50-50, and everybody forgot about what Ronald did the year before.
Right.
Yeah. So happy for Ronald, man. Mike, I'm really curious to see what this team does. I got to tell y'all, man, I think there's a lot of pressure on AA. Like, you got Rookie of the Year, right? We had that back-to-back. We had Drake, and then obviously Money Harris won it. So you got two Rookie of the Years. Ronald won it, and he was, back in the day. But the talent level now, and if you don't feel like the bats are going to come or the bats are going to be there like they were a couple of years ago, I just feel like you got to fill the void. I think there's a lot of pressure on AA.
I'm with you. I mean, this is a year where you're going to have to spend some loot. You're going to have to get some more starting pitching. The shortstop situation is still in flux. I hate the idea that, we got a Rookie of the Year that is considered to be splitting time. I would have moved on from Murph, but they like the platoon. They're not going to move on from that. And see when Murphy finally gets to being 100%. At what point that'll be the season, we'll see. You do have a healthy Profar. And, Profar was decent at times, Carl, don't you think? And so he'll be in that lineup. Yep. But I don't want to hear about, Alex made some minor moves, but we need some stars in here. Why is it the Braves aren't in the mix for Schwarber? Well, because they'll never do that. They should, but they won't.
That would be game changing.
Could you imagine Schwarber here? Oh. But then you're getting back to that 21 lineup where there's or the 23 lineup, there's no one you can pitch around. You go get a good hitting shortstop. So now the bottom of the lineup, that's 7, 8, 9, that was so strong, 21 through 23 is back to being a strong and not a weak suit. But they're not. The Braves are not going to spend that money. I hope prove me wrong. And it's not Alex's fault, man. It's Terry McGurk and the guys who hold those purse strings. Also today on Dukes and Bell, Carl, we started talking about this before you jumped in. Yesterday at Flowery Branch, Allison Mastrangelo from Channel 2 asked Michael Penix Jr. a question about, aside from the coach in the building, who do you turn to as far as influences, people in your life, and in other words, people you turn to maybe to get some as a sounding board. Truthfully, I don't think Michael really got the question, honestly. And this is not a knock on Michael, and he's fielding questions. I don't think he really kind of got where she was coming from with the question. Right. He goes on to say, nah, he goes, I come home and my fiance helps me out. Didn't really talk about, coaches. And then the website or the Twitter account, Dove Kleeman, which we don't even is an actual person. It's a data aggregator. And he'll take bits and pieces and just throw stuff up on the wall for titillation, and that's all it is. It's bullshit. So immediately this rumor now comes out that Michael Penix Jr. said, I'm not getting help from anyone. In other words, no one in the building, no assistant coaches, not even his OC is working with him. And that's a narrative which has now gone all the way around to where they're talking about on national talk shows.
So we live in a day and age where once it's out like this,
Right.
it's out. And we also live in a day and age of AI where you can do these kinds of doctoring. And, back in the day, Mike, we talk about it all the time. Like if somebody, did something to a picture and you're like, has that been doctored?
Right.
I got to tell you, there's stuff I see on the internet now. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't. And, whoever's going to come up with somebody out there who comes up with the systems that will keep us in check from AI versus real is going to make a lot of money. But I say all that to get to, it's a shame because we are having to defend Michael Penix and this whole ordeal because of this fake and false information or the way it was manipulated. And for me, guys, it's scary, bro. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's because, we want the truth. We talk to these guys. I tell you all the time, like, who do you know and who's giving you this information? Make sure you follow incredible sources. And I'll say this, Twitter screwed this up. Elon, you screwed this up. When you went away from verified accounts and you allowed any and everybody to be verified, what you said is anybody and everybody could say whatever the hell they want, whether it was true or not. Yeah. And all of a sudden now you have this kind of stuff where if this was Mike vetted properly through the social media sites like it should be, this would not be a story. But instead, here we are talking about Michael Penix and what he said and what he didn't say.
And just real quick, Oren and Data, I want to get your takes on this because, especially Oren, because you monitor our social media during the show. Two things. I got guys now coming at us saying, well, what did he mean? Well, guys, you got to first off think for yourself. I go, secondly, then guys go, yeah, but you don't see him talking to the coaches during the game. They sit down. They have the tablets. TJ Yates is there. Zach talks to him. Now, again, you have to, and this is where, Carl, to your point, this is more societal. If a reporter asked the question specifically, Michael Penix Jr., are you getting enough support from your coaching staff of the Falcons? To my knowledge, that question was not asked. So that's a different question. So now guys are going, but you see it, he's not getting the help. I go, that's apples and oranges. It's a separate, and guys can't even figure that out for themselves because, the bar is so low now for how we disseminate information. I mean, like, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but it's driving me crazy.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
To my point about that, I get the dissemination of information, and everybody wants to have things fast, and there's no double checking, no stuff like that when it comes to stuff that's being out there on the web. It's just out there, and if you see a blue check mark, you automatically assume that, oh, this person's verified. That means they're only going to spit the truth. They're only going to say anything they say is going to be truthful. They're not going to lie. It's all factual, everything like that. My point, though, is this. If you saw that story come out and it was Drake May and the New England Patriots, would you be inclined to believe it because of that team? Because this team right now is in a position where
it's a good point.
I don't want to use the D word and say dysfunctional, but if there was a story that came out along these lines and the Falcons are attached to it, based on what we've seen on the field this year, hell, this week we found out a starting wide receiver broke his collarbone in training camp, and we find out now months and months later. So I kind of caution what I'm saying here and be careful because I don't want anybody from the Falcons coming back at me. But no offense, but like if there was a story about a quarterback not listening to his coaches right now, based on what we saw this past Sunday over in Germany and based on what we've seen this season from this football team, and how every time we turn around when there is something being talked about in the national media about Raheem, about this team, it's not good. So it's almost like the Falcons are in a position right now where they don't get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to these stories.
No, and that's my point, guys. I was just saying, Oren, look, we all know this is a dysfunctional franchise, but let's stick to the facts. That's the thing today. It just makes a bad franchise look even worse because now Rich Eisen's talking about this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, what in the hell is going on here?
You just don't get that benefit anymore when it comes to this. And it sucks because, like, I love this team. I want stories like this when they come out to be immediately refuted, not having to get to the levels that it's gotten to right now. When somebody sees that original tweet, they go like, hey, that is absolutely not true. And you can look at the history and the the foundation of this franchise and just automatically go like, that's not true. It's the Falcons. But instead, right now, we're in a position where they're second guessing about this stuff. And that's the part that sucks because it shouldn't be that way. But it's almost like based on just how the team's been this year, what has been said about them already in the media, how they've been portrayed by themselves out there on the field and off the field. It's like because you don't want that refuting or that benefit of the doubt. You want that benefit of the doubt to be given to them, not like it is right now. Where a story comes out and you go like, wait, let me double check that real quick.
Real quick, I'll say this. When this happened, we were at Flowery on Wednesday when this story came out. Not a lot of traction. It took 24 hours before everybody kind of said, oh, but the Falcons could have easily done exactly what you're talking about, and said, hey, there is a story out there. It is not true. It's been doctored, blah, blah, blah. However they wanted to put it from the NFL and the Falcons, and this would have been squashed. But you know what they did? They ignored it because they said it wasn't true. So to your point about the Falcons coming back at us, look, the onus is on the organization. It's not on Mike and I at 2 o'clock to tell you this ain't true. We're going to do that, and we are going to try to give you the actual story. But if this was the Hawks, it'd be up to the Hawks to put the information out there. If this is the Braves, this didn't happen, and we want to make sure. And the league should back that. But that didn't happen. And so now we find ourselves here. We got a great show, man, today at 2. Make sure you join us. B-Mac's going to join us. Matter of fact, he hit us up on this last night, Mike and I, and was like, hey, look at this. And Mike's like, bro, it's not true. You have
credible guys. Bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
You got guys like that who cover the league who are asking us if we know anything or if we have seen this. So we'll talk to B today about the games and what's going on. Plenty about Georgia, Texas, guys. We got a lot to talk about today, obviously with the Hawks and Jalen and the way he's playing and all this. So make sure you tune in at 2 o'clock today. We're back in the studio. So thanks to everybody that came out yesterday, Mike. Great time over there at Joe's, man.
We were at Joe's Sports Bar and Grill in Alpharetta. I was telling Data, he's like, man, this is we're talking to our boss, Mike Conti. I mean, this is one of the best promos we've had. I mean, it was packed. Yeah, it was a great engagement. One of the best moments of the entire broadcast. Carl goes, the Falcons can win 3 in a row. And he pauses, and also this guy in the background goes, it's like this retired New Yorker, Uncle Phil, right? Yeah. I mean, it was like the timing was actually impeccable. But anyway, thanks to everybody who showed up. Great time.
It was. All right, man. We'll talk to you guys at 2 today. Thanks for being here, everybody.